Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight on the Middle AGEish Podcast. We are so incredibly honored tonight to have with us Natalie Stavola. She is an award-winning actress, a filmmaker, and has a background in psychology. And we are really excited, too, to talk to her about her life and dating coach experience with, and she does that for men. So this is kind of a different aspect for us because a lot of times we're focused on women. So it'll be interesting to hear your
The flip
viewpoints on that.
side.
Yes, the flip
Yeah.
side of that. So
Oh,
welcome,
yeah.
Natalie. We're so excited to have you here.
So excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me on today.
It's
Yes.
a very impressive resume.
Mhm.
It
It's
is.
a lot of things.
I know. I feel like I'm an underachiever.
Yeah. No. By all means, one of my limiting beliefs that I'm breaking is that my worth is in what I do. And sometimes you burn out when you overdo that. I definitely,
Yeah.
woo, joy and happiness is really important. Sometimes overworking. Yeah.
I think we learned that later on in years.
Yeah.
So you started
takes a
out
while.
with acting. Is that kind of the start of your career, or what came first? The acting, the coaching?
I think it might have actually come together at the same time because both of them have a lot to do with each other. I grew up in a household where, filmmaking, things like that weren't something that your parents really wanted to push you towards because, they were scared that you wouldn't make money.
Yeah.
We all do that. So for me, actually, I kind of hid the fact that I was acting and I was doing like little things on the side when I was in college. But, there was a running joke that my whole family thought that I was going to be a surgeon actually and a doctor and that I was going to be a broke surgeon because I had such a bleeding heart. I was constantly helping others. The thing though is that I was always helping people at the detriment to myself.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
when
yes.
I finally, right. Yeah. We're taught to do that a lot.
I know.
And
I
when
was like, yep.
Yeah. And when I finally learned how to actually do the work, do the inner work, have boundaries, is kind of when all of a sudden, I got to speak up, become, an actor, be a filmmaker, jump into that. And at the same time, I was helping others doing that, started looking at counseling, and then, wound up finding out about coaching and dating coaching and life coaching. And went down there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And your focus is on men. Is that correct?
It is, but I will say this. I'm helping the men and it helps us.
Oh,
So
yeah.
That- no,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's a genius
This is
move.
for us.
I know. It really is.
This is for us.
We love it.
I do coach women too. I actually do have some clients that are women. It's just that as I've put things out there and as I've gone through my own life journey, it just so happens that a lot of things that I've been through and a lot of things that I've gone through in life and overcome in life has kind of made me uniquely qualified to also, help men out and see a little bit more of their journey. I don't walk as a man. I'm not a man. I don't have that, but I can bridge the gap.
Which is always
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. It's the best of both worlds, really, especially because
Yes.
you can give things from a female perspective to men as well, which is
Which
invaluable to
Which I think
them.
is what they need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's what they've been asking
Absolutely.
for. Sometimes if they're going to their guys, like, okay, think about it this way. Ladies, we all know this. How many times if we're going through men problems and male problems, you don't really go to your girlfriends.
No.
You go to your
Right.
guy friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of a, so what are some of the hurdles that men seem to be facing? Because I just always believe it's a much easier world for them in the dating world. It's just, and I know women have become way more assertive than they would have been a
Right.
couple of years ago and know a little bit
Yes.
more of what they want. But like, what are the major hurdles for men?
You know what's so funny is that we all have some of the very same limiting beliefs or same perceptions, I should say. A lot of men oftentimes actually think that it's easier for women and that they don't have it
Really?
easy.
Wow.
Yes, because they think that we just get to sit here and people approach us and that we don't get rejected at all. They think that women don't get rejected. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
All the time.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We wear makeup. What are you talking about?
I know.
On our
Like, what?
face.
Yes.
So a lot of the things that I mostly hear and the bigger hurdles is a lot of cultures and countries tell men that they're not allowed to have emotions and that they're only allowed to experience anger and hunger. That's it.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And here's what happens as women. And I'm not gonna lie, I've done this too because I had to heal and I didn't know any better. I projected my perception and my pain from men onto good men,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
right? Where I didn't realize too that, men have been taught to suppress their emotions. And then when they have tried to come out and actually, speak on the fact that they are a human being, they have emotions, there's a lot of women who have shamed men back into just
Mhm.
being quiet, shutting down, more trauma. So the biggest thing I think is that men actually opening up and learning how to feel safe and speaking on their own boundaries, because guys, they're so afraid of losing us too. They
Yeah.
want a relationship. They want a family. They want to fit in with their guy friends. They want to feel attractive and desired. And oftentimes cultures and countries have taught them, no, be quiet. And then as women have stepped up into our power, thank goodness, sometimes we've gone a little bit too far and we've opened up. And then what happens when we first start opening up to our own trauma is we get really loud about it and we project it for a little bit until we heal it. And we can wind up going, be quiet, men. It's a woman's turn. And we're basically perpetuating the same exact thing that hurt us in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is men not processing their emotions and showing up, with us in this.
That's the weight of my heart. Show me emotion.
I know. Yeah.
Shed a tear.
Yeah.
Show emotion.
So what do
I
you
can't
think
wait
is
to show my
different-
men this.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So what do you think is different in middle age for men, like in dating? Because we were talking about before,
Right.
we would have a hard time going, to this generation and starting over, in dating versus like what we knew back in the
Right.
80s,
So like,
90s,
so the men
2000s,
that are
yeah.
kind of like the flip side of us, that they've been with their partner for a long time and they're getting back
Starting
out
over.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of it is, as we've aged gracefully and lovingly and wonderfully, as we've
Amen.
got, you know what I mean? Yeah. All of you ladies too. As we've kind of learned some stuff, we've learned what works for us and what doesn't work for us. The thing is, though, is that we still have to heal. We don't have to, but I would recommend it. You still want to heal from the things that hurt us so that we don't unpack that in the next relationship.
Right.
Men have to do that too. So oftentimes, it doesn't really matter which generation you're from. We all have limiting beliefs. We all have things that we're going to overcome. It's just that, is there more online dating and is there more social media and things like that can hinder us? Sure. But we had our own social engagements back in the day too, where, there was bullying, a belittling or comparison, all of that. So I think a big part of it is that once you've gotten out of a relationship or you're single, you're going through a divorce, it's learning how to forgive and let go and heal and then kind of start that process of like, what did I like about how I showed up? What could I do differently? And then what are my boundaries and what are the things that I will not tolerate again in the next one? But we want to heal that so that way we don't get triggered by it and continue to kind of stay around it and accidentally date it. So mostly that.
Because I do, I know that you've repeated and multiple times, about the importance of not repeating a cycle. And I think that we've talked about friends that have gone through divorce and they're, they're single and they're moving forward, but they seem to be in that cycle of their, they subconsciously pick out the same person that they basically
before.
just
That's what you're
divorced.
You're familiar
Yes!
with.
Right. Yeah. And so I think it's so important because like I said, I see it with my friends. I'm like, you just divorced that,
Right.
that personality and now you're dating it again. So I love to hear how you work and focus on that. Cause again, like I said, just speaking from my friends, breaking that cycle, I feel like you have to make a conscious effort and decision to do it, or you're going to slide right back into it.
1,000%. The thing is that it's hard. Sometimes we will all repeat cycles. There's some cycles and patterns that I've repeated, even though I'm aware and I've been aware. I've been doing this for, I'm not going to say when I got my college degree, but
that's okay. We don't talk about our age either. Really.
Even with awareness is wonderful, but you'll watch because our subconscious mind is much more powerful than our conscious mind. So even if we become aware, that just becomes more frustrating. You're like, no, I'm doing another narcissist. Again, what winds up happening is that it's a good thing though, because relationships are mirrors. Everyone, career relationships, family relationships, romantic relationships, everything, friendships, all a mirror. It helps us to see what's going on in our subconscious and what we need to heal next to step up and elevate to the next level of our lives. Relationships. Oh yeah. And it'll help you too. Anything that you're unblocking in a relationship will directly help you with career as well. That's what it's meant for. So you'll find your patterns. If you're still dating the same type of person, it's usually a childhood wound, something that has to do with your mother or father and a programming or a limiting belief that kind of got instilled, or a generational trauma that got instilled when you were a kid. So you're going to keep doing that until you break it, until you heal it.
Yeah. I'm a psychologist and I look at imago therapy. I mean, there's a lot of great therapies, but imago, like going back to past and looking at, what happened with your family that makes you who you are today, and has like all these like different opinions about people and men and dating, or, women and dating. And so it's just all these like patterns from the past, and you have to look at it. But I think a lot of times, like you were saying too, people want to like rush into the next relationship versus let me take the time to think and heal and really like learn what were the red flags. What did I learn from that? What do I need to do differently? But imago, I think, helps a lot in going backwards.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everyone's healing journey after a relationship is different for the timeline, for sure. But if you're doing a repeat pattern and it's again and again and again, then that means that there's some excavating to do. It's the one thing though that happens is you'll see a lot of us in the healing community that we're like, oh my God, healing's amazing. Healing's wonderful. You're going to love it on the other side. And then you sign up with us when you're like, you're going to cry like a little child.
Right. It's going to hurt for a while before you get to the positive and the happy stage.
And sometimes right when people hit that stage where they're finally getting to the meat and potatoes of like, man, I am hurting because my whole life people have been belittling me, condescending me, disrespecting me, manipulating me, stemming from my childhood. Right when we get there, that's why you want to work with a therapist and a coach. Work with both, and it's like money. It's only people you trust. Vet them out, date them too, basically. Not really, don't date your therapist.
We know what you mean though.
Yeah, we got it.
Yes. But right when you're getting there, a lot of people can get very scared because it's emotions. And most of the time people are just so afraid of those feelings. And I promise it only lasts for 20 minutes. Like you'll feel some sadness and then it passes. And then it's like this weight off your shoulders. If anyone's struggling with like IBS or skin rashes or problems with their body shutting down, problems in their back or their neck, it's usually because your tension in your body, you're holding on to those things. But we're just so scared to like go through it because the emotions scare us. But once you do, it's like, whew, you never have to repeat that ever again.
That's the hope.
It is. I mean, because it is like you don't want to hurt. I think that's like innate in us. Like we don't want to hurt. Like whether it's physical, emotional, it's easier just to like skim over it and then just breeze through it. And so I think that that's super positive to like just reinforce that to get better. Whether it is like you were talking about physical, whether you whatever's going on with your body or emotional, it hurts before it gets better.
Yes.
But that's like that right there is the one that you've got to push through. And I think that just as humans, we tend to shy away from anything that makes us uncomfortable, anything that hurts us. It's almost like that subconscious, like you said, it's our protective barrier. Like I'm good. Like I got the bullet points.
I got this.
Yeah,
I just think are addicted to dopamine. Oh, so you keep going. Sorry.
No. Oh, no. I was just saying. I think it's great to continue to reinforce that. No, you're gonna have to hurt to get better.
My husband's probably listening to this thinking, I wish that Trisha kind of held back her feelings a little bit more. The opposite.
I don't think that he
if
thinks
I'm
that
sad, you're gonna know it, and I'm going to show it. And so I am one who expresses my emotions.
And see, I'm just the opposite. I'm either happy or pissed.
Yeah. Both of those, by the way, require us processing them. So we're not dumping them on our partner too. Like our side of the street is,
I know. So like, it's funny. Like, I mean, I feel like, I need to continue to grow because again, I'm happy or pissed. Those are the emotions that I can I can just rein in, I can own it. But if you get me talking like where I like that little girl that, that hurt or like that fear or whatever. Oh my gosh. So like literally like I'm still doing it at 51 where I'm like trying to like bust down those walls. That's why I could talk about it because it is uncomfortable to open up that door because you're like, no, I'm so much better just being happy or pissed.
A lot of times we're afraid that we'll get stuck there because what'll happen first is we'll push that down, which can cause so many problems in our body. And not only that, your partner wants to know what's going on and
Right.
not mind read. And then what happens after we open up is the floodgates come out. And then we're like,
Right.
what
And
do
then you're
I
like,
do
how do I
with
pull
this?
that back? How do I pull that back? What's just
And it's just the
happening?
fastest way is through. And then you start
Yep.
learning how to process it, and you start learning how to just feel it for a second and then be able to communicate it when you go back to like a homeostasis or like a
Yes.
neutral. Yeah, that took me. So I'm Irish Italian. I ping pong
Feisty.
on both.
Mhm.
Oh,
That's a good
I just-
combination.
Good for who?
So you're another one that's just good at happy or pissed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fire
It's
and
either
fiery.
like you're gonna feel my emotions because I feel them, and then I'm gonna
Right.
be angry about them, and then I'm gonna shut down, and then it's just the whole. So we had some things to relearn growing up.
Right.
Yeah. There was a quote in Sex and the City last night about Tony Danza was in it, and they were at an Italian restaurant, and he was saying he's Irish Italian too. And he was saying basically that Italian is just Irish with better food.
Oh.
I was like, we'll see.
Let's see about that.
Yeah,
I'll
they
fight
have a
you.
lot of similarities. I'll
the
say
women are
that.
very similar. Oh my goodness. I
goodness
literally just
gracious.
had this conversation with somebody saying that Irish and Italian women are the exact same. The women are the head of the house, and that like what
Yes.
we say go,
Passionate,
but
fiery.
passionate, fiery, but not
Yes.
very emotional. I
Yeah, no, I
would say.
can-
As I
right.
know it's a bit of a generalization,
No,
but
it's not.
it's very much like, you gotta keep the face, just get through
Yeah.
it. Don't talk about anything.
Well,
Just keep
I
quiet.
think our family units kind of pass that down, because I know I'm third generation Italian, fifth generation like Irish, but like that's like when you're in those communities, especially when they came over in like the
Yeah.
1900s, you really you kind of passed on that generational familial type of structure where it was like women suppress in one, women out, shout out in the other. Both of them love food. The things that one could do with pasta is the other one could do with potatoes. You know what I mean?
So true.
We have a question.
Either way,
for
we're
you.
eating.
One of our listeners here, Natalie, wanted to know what your take is on the concept of rewriting your childhood narrative in order to make or find the narrative to live by as an adult.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, wow.
So
That is a good one.
that's wonderful. Now I'm not sure on the words and the verbiage of like rewriting, because I think you call a spade a spade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the first thing is we have a tendency in this culture to bypass a lot and go, you shouldn't think like that. You shouldn't look at your mother and father that way. And it's like we kind of gaslight ourselves when we do that. As opposed to there's no loss of love when you go, hey, some things happened in my childhood, not okay with it.
Yeah.
Right.
We can reframe it, we
Yes.
can reprogram it, and we can reparent it. One wonderful way to do that too is like you can do an exercise where, and I do recommend working with a therapist and a coach on this. You can walk back and go to that initial memory. Let's say that, for instance, one of your limiting beliefs that keeps leading you to toxic relationships is, I'm not good enough, or I'm not pretty enough, something like that. Anything. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough is a big one. What winds up happening is you'll keep choosing partners that make you feel like you're not enough. Because our subconscious mind is very simple. It's designed to keep you right in order to keep you safe. Simple as that. So if you walk that back, you can journal it, which helps you access your subconscious, and you find out, all right, brain, show me when's the first memory, when's the first time that came in, and it's usually from the ages of 2 to 10 up to 14. When's the first time that got planted in that I'm not good enough? And then you find out, you're like, oh man, when I was younger, my parents had my sister or my brother, and they paid more attention to him or her. And they didn't mean to, but that's how I received that I wasn't enough. So now you go back into that, you do like a little meditation, go back into that memory, show up as the you today, or pull in someone that you feel safe with into that memory. Explain to your younger self what's going on. If you need to yell at anyone, yell at them. If you need to cuss them out, you can do that. It doesn't change the memory, but what it does is it changes how you feel about the memory and how you interpret it. And like tell your younger self, like, yo, when we get older, oh my God, we have a car, we have a house, we got this.
It'd be amazing.
Yes.
Oh, you are what, right? You yell at people and we don't yell, but
You sometimes.
Well, I do. Yeah.
All right. Oh, nice. And then what winds up happening is that whenever someone is around you ever again who elicits that trigger, that ping in you of like, ooh, I don't feel like I'm good enough, I need to prove myself to this person, you're going to pause and you'll know the memory and where it comes from. And you're going to reframe it of like, no, I am good enough. My parents like had a young child and I received it this way, but that's, you know what? I don't treat other people that way. I don't deserve to be treated that way.
Yeah.
It's a no for me. Thank you. That's a boundary. I don't play with people who make me feel like I have to prove myself. Next.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah. There's another question here,
Yep.
actually, which is really interesting as well. Who's most likely to try and hold on to a relationship? Try to hold on to a relationship, men or women? Who do you, in your experience, who do you see wants to hold it more together?
Equal parts.
Yeah, I would have thought so too.
yeah, I would-
Yeah. I think it's just such a lie that we've told ourselves and passed on, that men are X, Y, and Z and they don't care and they don't want to be part of the family. The most healing thing that's ever happened to me was stepping into this space and coaching men and seeing how many men are like, that is not my truth. I want marriage. I show up. There's so many men that their fathers weren't there for them and they want to be there. And they'll wind up, if they don't heal, they'll wind up accidentally choosing women who leave or shut down or dismiss them. It works both ways. And when I saw that and I realized, I'm like, oh my God, we are in this together.
No, but I think that is such an amazing message, because I've always thought that, like the men this way, women this way. And so just having that moment of clarity that, okay, you know what? They're probably thinking the same thing that we are. It's just that they verbalize differently. They handle their emotions differently. But it doesn't mean that their emotions are different.
Right.
No, and I think to be fair, we don't have a huge, like most of us don't have a huge wealth of experience in different relationships.
Right.
That's the other thing. So like, how are you supposed to know what's normal? And like when I always think about this, I'm like, you're both raised in completely different families, different ways, different things. And then you're kind of thrown together and expected to make it work.
Make
and
it
it's
work.
like, how, like my husband's from Australia and I'm from Ireland, like our growing
Oh,
up years
man.
could not have been more different. Yeah. And it's just, I constantly go like, how are you supposed to make that work sometimes?
Right?
Like, because it's so different as well. And like, I didn't have that many relationships, but you then compare to the relationship you had before and you're like, oh, it's just so, it's so hard. It's so hard. And it's so hard to know what's right and what's not right.
Yes. I usually tell people this because sometimes people will get scared if they're like, oh my God, I'm dating someone and it's not perfect. It's not supposed to be.
Life's not perfect.
Right? What we're doing is we're finding people, friendships, family members, career, especially romantic partners. We're finding people that we're safe to make mistakes with.
Yeah.
That we have each other's back.
Important. Yeah.
And people that are willing to work together. Like, and that, no, I know you've always said this, Ashley, you're always saying it's a job. And
It is a job.
It is, it's constant work and every day is not going to be perfect. And some days will be a little bit better than others. And then other days won't be, but like, that's kind of life. And
it is
you
like,
grow and you learn together.
Yeah. But it's like you were saying, Lisa, like when we got married, I know I was 22, right out of college. He was like, we didn't live together before. You throw us together. We were raised completely different.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, it needs to be perfect. It's supposed to be great. And if it's not great, and it's not perfect, then this is not meant to be. Like, oh, this is a sign. This is a sign. I picked the wrong one. And so, like it is actually amazing that you can cohabitate and grow. Cause like, that's what I've always said too. Like you either grow together or you grow apart. Those are your only two options. Like you can't stay stagnant. Like it just doesn't, that's not how life is meant to be. And so, like it is kind of a job. Like you got to wake up, you got to give it 100%. You got to take the hits when, not physically,
physical
but
hits.
Right. So pretty much.
Not that. No. But like you take the hits. Okay, like today wasn't great. Like we didn't communicate well with each other.
Yeah.
But you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to try and be better, and I'm going to, verbalize better. So,
that's your teammate.
I know, like it is your ride or die.
Yeah, just do that though as the same team, because a lot of times, like my clients will come in, they'll be like, "Oh, but if I have to tell him to say he loves me or that I'm pretty or whatever, that it negates everything." And I'm like, no, like he doesn't read your mind. He doesn't know what you want. Saying what you need or want doesn't mean you're going to necessarily get it, but you still have to like express how you feel and what your needs are, and then see what's, reciprocated.
Guaranteed he's thinking something totally different.
Of course.
My husband will be like, yeah, everything
Yeah.
is great. We're fine. I'm like, I'm going to like absolutely burn this house down. I'm so
Right?
angry.
And he's
And
like, I
he's
have no
like,
idea.
that was
No
such a
clue.
great day. We had
Yes.
so much fun. And I'm
It's
like,
because you gotta
I
express what's going
am
on.
Yes.
literally
Mhm.
going
Yeah.
to.
Right.
By the way,
So-
that happens with men too.
Mhm.
And usually the reason why it continues to happen is because if you're not meeting your own core needs, then it doesn't matter how many times your partner says, I love you, or you look great, or oh my
Yep.
God, baby, you look amazing in that dress. You're not going to feel it because you're actually disrespecting yourself, or you're not
Right.
cherishing and honoring yourself. So it
Right.
becomes like a bottomless pit. So that's why you feel empty when you ask for it, because even if you didn't, you're going to need more and more and more and more and more, because you're not standing in front of the mirror and going,
Right.
I love you. I
Mhm.
like that outfit. Your butt
Yeah,
looks
you're
so good
enough.
today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's never enough. Like it never is
Catch
enough.
yourself,
No.
catch yourself in the mirror and in the reflection and go, oh my God, like that, do that for yourself. And I guarantee
Exactly.
you're missing, because what happens is when we're not giving it to ourselves, we're actually going to miss when our partner
Mhm.
is actually giving it to us.
Mhm.
And then we'll feel like it's not enough.
Yep.
If you start meeting those core needs, you're going to watch and notice that your partner is doing it, or is saying it,
And
or
he's-
you'll get
and
it
he's
more.
sincere when he says it.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that's the thing. Like sometimes, they'll say it and you're like, you don't mean
Disregard
it. Because
it.
you're like,
Mhm.
like you just said, because you're not like, we're not feeling it personally.
Yes.
So
It just goes
they
in
may
one
be
ear, out the
saying
other.
it. Yeah. They
Mhm.
may be saying it with sincere intent,
Mhm.
but we will hear it as you're whatever. You're just lying.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
Don't get irritated.
By the way, that's one of the biggest keys to manifesting too. If you want something, the fastest way to get it is by feeling it inside of you too. So that
Mhm.
works with relationships, career, everything. The unblocking comes in when you hear voices in your head that say things like, no, no way, that's not true, blah,
Yes.
blah, blah. That's when you want to unblock and heal those things. But the fastest way to receive what you want and what you're looking for, what you deserve, what you absolutely deserve, is by feeling it inside of yourself first and actually giving it to yourself first.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We've talked a lot about comparison and social media and different things like that,
Oh,
which we can do to ourselves. But I know too, and I've been guilty of this. Like even when you watch TV shows, like Armageddon, like no one's done the animal cracker thing to me. Like it's so.
Animal cracker.
Yes, where's my damn animal cracker?
Yeah.
But
Where's my boombox
Yes.
outside?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the boom
Yes.
but
the
it's
best
so
ever.
hard to, I think you see, it's so easy to watch movies and to watch TV shows. And I mean, you're an actress, like, and
Oh,
so I think it's so easy, not just with social media, but comparison to where you're like, my house doesn't look like this, my relationship doesn't look
Yeah.
like this, So I think that comparison can be hard on ourselves, but hard on our relationships too.
Comparison's
Yes,
the
look-
thief of joy.
Yeah. Oh, comparison is the thief of joy.
It
That
is.
one is so important.
Yeah.
And by the way, I
Love
get
that, Lisa.
Thanks.
If
Oh my gosh,
anyone-
we're gonna have to get that on the
So
t-shirt.
good.
I
friend
love that.
says it all the time.
it's so good, but it's so true. And I do it too. I
Yeah.
have things that'll
Mhm.
happen where I watch people, have a career that I want or whatever. Envy is not a bad thing. You want to integrate that, because the more that you go, if I'm envious of this, that means I'm off alignment. I might not be doing something that actually
Right.
matters to me.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
envy shows us that it's possible, and that's actually we can integrate that. And also, when it comes to movies, that is a 90-minute movie. They're trying to show you two strangers coming
Mhm.
together and getting married. It is a lie. It is
Yes.
a lie. That is codependent. That is not healthy. That is not how you do it.
But I think the problem though now is that's reinforced by social media. So you have all those people out there putting up something that their husbands are doing, and you're going, "Oh my God, so it is the same in the movies, and I don't have that."
Right.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah,
everything
and
looks
behind the
everything
scenes,
looks
you're like,
perfect.
Yeah. Fake
Yeah.
book.
I mean,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Fake
Everything
book.
looks perfect, and that is just not life.
Nope.
Mhm.
Not at
No.
all.
I've
at all.
I've loved people who have kind of been more authentic. I follow a lot more people who are more authentic with things, and even I try to too. Like if I'm going through something, I'll try and heal from it a little bit first, so it's not spitting out any venom. But I'll be
Yeah.
authentic on things like, hey, I'm not feeling the best. I've struggled with body dysmorphia and
Right.
not feeling beautiful, and growing up feeling like a ugly duckling, and
Mhm.
all kinds of things, or trauma or whatever. And so I really value when people, and not everyone has to do it, but I really value when I see people that are like, hey, I'm going to be honest, I have anxiety. Like
Right.
things
Well,
scare
life
me.
is perfectly imperfect.
Mhm.
That
Yep.
is like it. I mean,
I love
like
that.
if
I
you
haven't
take
heard
the
that in a
shade,
while.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
take the shades off, I mean, it
Mhm.
is like
Right.
life is perfectly imperfect, and that's how it's
Yes.
supposed to
Mhm.
be,
Yeah.
because that's how you grow.
Mhm.
in my opinion.
That's
It's true.
that is. Yeah.
That's
But perfect. First of all, perfect doesn't exist.
No. Perfect's on the other side. That's
Mhm.
not where we are right now. Like that's
No.
when your job is
When you're
done
dead.
here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, when you're
Figured
when
it out.
you're-
Aw.
yeah, no, when your job here is done and
Yeah.
you move on, that's when it gets perfect. It's not meant
Right.
to be perfect here.
Yeah, that's one
Yeah.
thing I love about this podcast, though, is that I think it's made us be kind of more open about, we're making things real
Mhm.
because a lot of people might be experiencing certain things, but they feel like it's just them. And I think that that's one thing. I think we're all being a little bit more vulnerable, talking about issues we have, so that other people can hear those and think, well, I go through the same thing. And then
Yeah.
having, great guests to talk to us about those same things and say, hey, I go through it too.
Oh my
We're
God,
like
I
the-
love it.
We're the flip side of the social media where everything is
Yeah.
perfect, I mean, but
Yeah.
that's what we've tried to, like, we talk about is like life is a struggle. It's never been meant to journey by yourself, but you have to, like, you gotta speak your truth. You gotta be honest
Yeah.
to help someone else along the way. We talked about it all the time. It's a bridge.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got one on the other side of the bridge who's gone through it and is confident and is willing to step back and look across the bridge and pull somebody over
And
it
help.
that is struggling. And I think we need more of that. Just like you were talking about, like just being honest and, being raw, because there are a lot of people who suffer in silence.
Yeah.
A lot. I've said this before too that I love, and I think one of my clients got it tattooed on his arms one time. It's permanent now. Like I was like, courage is not the absence of fear; it's moving forward in spite of and because of those fears.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
There's no way you're gonna live life without fear. That's impossible. Fear helps us indicate like what's meant for us, what's not meant for us, and when you're close to something that's important to us.
Yeah.
Right.
So we need it. It also is like, you know what I mean? Stove hot. You kind of need to know when things are like bad.
When they're going to hurt you. Like you have to have those signals when it's actually going to hurt you in any way, so that you learn there's those boundaries. You're like, oh, I can't touch that, or I can't do that. I'm going to get hurt, So I think, I think it's important.
Also, too, that from what the other person said as well, or what we were talking about with healing, the reason why healing with a little bit of the journey of it hurts, the main reason is that way when you get through it, you never go back there again.
You don't forget.
That's
Yes.
Exactly. Because if it didn't, you'd be like, la la la, look at this toxic person. I'm gonna jump on him.
Yeah, I can move right through it. It's not going to hurt me. I'm not going to have any pain. I'll be
done
good.
this before.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Pain is an indicator of like move, stop going there.
Yeah.
So that's why. That's why.
So with being an actress and being in the public eye and entertainment industry, was it hard for you to be able to, talk about your vulnerabilities and to, not be fake about it? Was that hard for you, or did that come naturally to you?
Oof. In terms of like when I started coaching and marrying the two, or
Yeah, like being able to say, like I have anxiety, or like we were talking about, it's hard because you want to put out your best self. You want to post those pictures on Facebook of a smiling family, but maybe you had chaos right before you posted the picture. And with you like coaching and talking about these things, like was that difficult for you, especially being kind of in the public eye and being an actress? Was that difficult for you to do?
Yes, but my experience with it was a little interesting. I grew up without a filter. I did not know how to speak to people. I actually studied that in college because I would open my mouth and I would lose friends because I had no inflection or like joking. I was just so socially awkward. I wore thick glasses. My nose was always in a book. I skipped school because I was such a nerd. I had like a 3.9 weighted GPA. And I lived by an ocean when we moved from Connecticut to Florida. So I was like, I'm not going. Like, I'm gonna go to the ocean.
Like beautiful by the sea.
And I had a great GP. So it was like I could argue my way out of anything. So I was just very socially awkward. And when I did speak, it just was unfiltered. I learned how to, be quick-witted because I was around people that like if you weren't or if you cried, we laughed harder. So you gotta love them to death. So for me, what wound up happening for me, luckily, was I wound up learning how to love the fact that I had no filter, and it was difficult at times, and it still sometimes is. But there's been times where, like, yes, because even as an actor or putting yourself out there or anything, to show up in any space and be like, I'm not perfect. And I can only imagine, like, I know for me, I'm sober now. 6 years ago, had I been more in the public eye, I mean, I can't even imagine that kind of like public nose in your business type of thing that can really harm us.
Right.
So it's been a beautiful thing where I've gotten to kind of go, you know what? Sometimes I say things and I put my foot in my mouth, and that's okay, because I know I can say I'm sorry today.
Right.
And sometimes I'm going to post things and damn, that might have come from a trauma, or I maybe was a little unhealed on that one. Okay, tomorrow I'll do a little better. But it's authentic, and it's you can adjust, you can learn, you can grow. And for me, it's mostly been about learning to stop shaming and shaming myself and shaming others, and just kind of pausing a little bit more and going, what do I want to share? How am I feeling in this moment? Do I need to process it first and then do it? But absolutely. I mean, it's still something I battle with today. Before I post things, I have a coach. I have my own coaches and my own therapist. Sometimes I'll screenshot my stuff and I'll send it to them because I question myself.
Right.
And I have a team that helps me with going, you're okay, Natalie, you're safe. Because I didn't grow up with safety. I didn't grow up with learning what I could do or couldn't do. And there was a lot of bullying and there was trauma and there was this and that. So sometimes that little girl comes out and it's not sure if I'm safe to be vulnerable. One of my biggest fears was that, like, if I expose myself and I'm vulnerable, then I'll get attacked, and that I could put my family in jeopardy. And it would cause me to hide, not post online, not even tell people when I had a movie coming out. A lot of people online didn't even know I was an actress, and I have like films that you can see on like Amazon. I would be on a TV show and people would be like, why am I seeing you on Burn Notice and you didn't tell me? I was like,
Right.
I was hiding because my limiting belief, my trauma that turned into a limiting belief was I'm not safe. So what I did was I isolated, I pulled back, and I didn't share myself with you. And that's not fair. That's not fair to the people that love me. And so it was finding that balance of being here, feeling safe to share this vulnerability, and finding out my boundaries of who and to whom I share those vulnerabilities with and when and how. So still an ongoing thing that I get to grow in every day.
But that's the gift of it.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that you choose who you share your vulnerabilities
keep
with.
your boundaries.
I mean,
but it's your growth,
boundaries.
and that you are growing, and that you actually see and recognize your boundaries. Like, I think that's also, like you said, that's so important.
You have to have them.
You do. And in whatever case, but just knowing about it and stepping foot each and every day to make that next day a little bit better and learn a little bit more. I think it's amazing.
It's funny, the different personalities. Like, when you talk about being unfiltered, and Ashley talks about being unfiltered, you definitely know what she's thinking. I envy that. I love that, because with me, I'm always saying, okay, is this the right thing to say? I'll read this and reread it again. I would love to. I wish I was less filtered. I want to remove my filters. I think it's great to be unfiltered. And
Oh, I think
sometimes I got both in me where I'm like, I just said that thing. I was trying to edit in my brain, but you got to own it now. That's
I know. You're kind of always like, I'm always like, oh crap, I shouldn't have said that.
Questioning yourself.
I know.
Yeah, no, I definitely have both as well. But it was only in my 40s that I started to build boundaries. I don't think I ever did that before. And it was only really when I got into my 40s and I started to get a bit comfortable and go, no, it was okay. I actually don't have to tell everybody everything about me. I don't have to. And it's not that you're not authentic. It's just choosing who to be authentic with.
It's the White House.
It is. I mean, well, you're learning about yourself. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's the beauty of life, is that you got to learn about the boundaries.
Who do you trust? Like,
right. Because I don't know if I learned that when I was in my 20s, if it would mean as much to me as it does now.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Because it takes on a whole different meaning.
Well, because everybody's been hurt by now. Like, we've been hurt by somebody. So we're like, I'm doing the boundaries.
What irritated or pissed me off in my 20s, now I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, whatever, move on.
Yeah.
And now, like, when I get hurt, like you were talking about, like, I do know that it matters. And now I can talk about it, where what could have hurt me way back when is ridiculous.
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm sorry. Did you like look at me wrong?
Yeah.
And now it's,
I did that.
It's like more substantial. It's like, no, actually,
core things.
yeah, that is bad. And we are going to talk about it. So I do think that is one of the beauties of getting older.
Yes.
Oh, such a good part. I mean, even for me, like when I was aware of some boundaries, I just skipped right over them a few more times too. That got that just gets real fun.
Yeah.
I'm watching as this is not a good idea. And I'm
Right.
doing
But
it.
I'm
Oh,
doing
we're
it.
about to have a lesson
And
here.
I'm going to go
Yes.
all in for
Yep.
something that is not a good idea.
And you always regret it. You always look back and you're like, why did I let that boundary down? Why did I? Let
Yeah.
that
I
down?
know.
Yes.
But you
Yep.
knew you were doing it at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is that just my life?
No.
Yeah, I did. There were times I did, and I wouldn't have learned the things that I needed to in order to be the artist
So
I am, or
true.
the filmmaker I am, or the coach that I am without going through those things. It just wouldn't
course.
have, because I'll hear it in coaching every day where I'm like, oh yeah, I did that twice on a Tuesday. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll be fine. Do this and this. Call me tomorrow. You'll be good.
Mhm.
You know,
I'm
because it's that we go through things, and then our experience, strength, and hope helps another person feel like they're not alone.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you can't be in a relationship though without being vulnerable. It's just like figuring out how you let that vulnerability out, and to whom. Like who are you going to like trust with those things?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm just thankful I'm not talented or a singer or an actress, because I would be devastated if I had people post things against my
Yeah,
work.
you're-
So
Oh, it's horrible. It's
Yes.
horrible.
I
It's
can't
Yeah.
imagine. You have to have
There's
thick
definitely
skin.
it hurts. Like you'll
Yeah.
see things and it's like I've gone on lives and I've jumped on lives before, and I've had amazing community and support, and then you'll have your trolls.
yeah.
And it's like people just don't. I will say, I think Mike Tyson did say it best back in the day. Like he didn't do those things as often because there were consequences.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But I think people, you're right. Like you'll see the 95% of like positive.
Yeah,
see that in
and
the
then the
one.
5%,
Yeah.
you're just like, oh,
It's
you're just
that
gonna, like hold on
one.
to
Yeah.
it.
Like you'll have, like you said, like you'll have so many amazing things, and like even like friends, like experiences, like it's so positive, but you have that one naysayer or a Karen, a Debbie
yeah.
Downer.
Yes.
Focus on
And
that.
and like, why is that in our subconscious that's the nugget that
Because
sticks?
it's the negative that you want to turn around. Like you want
Yes.
to be
Right.
someone who you can like, oh no, you see that I'm like nice and I'm great and
Right.
whatever. Yes.
I know.
There's
like
usually an insecurity there, though.
Yeah.
Is the
100%.
reason why.
Right. Yeah. Like
There's a healing, because if it wasn't already a seed planted from like childhood or something that you went through that you're still healing on, it wouldn't bother you. You would be like,
Right.
oh my God, this is nothing. But when it's something that like one time, being authentic for me is really important, and just kind of, owning that. One time I was on a live and someone was like, can anyone see that? I had a troll. Someone was like, can't anyone see that she's so fake and inauthentic? And I was like, I felt some type of way about it.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
realized it came from way before him. And so it was an opportunity for me to just feel it afterwards. I actually
Right.
spoke on it during the live, and I had a lot of people that, got to show up in it. And then I just sat with it afterwards. And I was like, is that my truth?
Right.
Have there been times where I've been inauthentic or had to be a chameleon? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Can I honor that side of me too? That
Right.
we all get to be chameleons sometimes? Yeah.
Right.
So it was like this beautiful thing that was like, I have a trigger here. I have a wound here. So what can I do about it to kind of nurture that wound and reframe it? But yeah, and then that way, next time someone comes on and says something like that, I'm usually just gonna
Ignore.
you're seeing their wounds projected.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The only time I ever clapped back at a troll online. Oh, it was the most ridiculous thing. I had just moved here and I just had my son, and I was the what do you call the person who's in charge of a parade here?
The
Not the
Grand
mascot,
Marshal.
Grand Marshal.
Yeah.
I was a Grand Marshal.
Marshal.
Yeah, for the parade in Peachtree City. I was so excited, and I got a red dress and everything. Everything was great. And there was a picture of me. And this man, he just posted on it going, she's obviously enjoying way too much of that Southern food. And it was just like red rag to a bull. And I was okay with it. I just had a baby. And I was like, but it always hurts. Anyway, but that was fine. So I decided, firstly, I'd look at his profile picture, which was disgusting, by the way.
No.
But that was neither here nor there. So I clapped back at him this really nice like text going, it's okay for like, you shouldn't say things like that, because what if you got somebody who wasn't as confident as I am? And it's just not like, I tried my best to be like very nice, but to the point.
Educate.
And he responded back on, I can't believe you responded. Michelle Obama didn't respond to what I said it to her.
Oh my
in
gosh.
heavens.
So that's just what he
What
does.
time? It was just what he did. Yeah.
Wow.
He was just,
That's-
I'm like, oh my
Talk about
God,
issues.
what a waste
I
of
was
my
like,
time.
But how
honey,
miserable must you
I was like,
be
that's
if
a
you go
sad
on to
Oh,
do
his
that
human.
to
profile
people?
picture, he's like
Yes.
sitting there with no shirt on, with his belly
Yes.
hanging over
But
his
that's why it's
pants.
like,
and a
Oh
can
my
of beer.
God.
So
That's
like,
the
why
epitome
not?
of projecting.
Oh,
Yes,
like,
there's
why
just-
did I bother?
There's
This
just
was
some
stupid.
nasty,
Yeah, yeah.
nasty
Oh,
humans.
people can be so
It's so mean,
nasty.
but it's so easy to be mean on like
Oh.
a mode like that, where
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, I could just like text you and
Yeah.
say
What is it?
whatever.
The
like,
keyboard
yes,
warriors.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
they're.
Oh yeah.
They're
Yeah.
the worst.
I've done it. I've definitely clapped back in my DMs.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I do think that, like you were talking about, like at the end of the day, we are still human.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
we're evolving and we're working on ourselves
Mhm.
and, just moving forward in a positive way. But at the end of the day, there are moments where we are
Yeah.
just still
we
human.
feel,
Oh,
yeah, we
oh,
feel
yeah.
it.
And we can push back and say things that,
Yeah.
the next day you're like, well, that wasn't the most gracious thing, but it is what it is. I
Yeah.
mean,
What? Yeah.
we're still learning.
You're gonna be hurt, so it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Mhm.
My thing is like I don't like being hit on social media. I hate it.
Oh,
I do not like it. If I don't give you permission to hit on me, I do not like it because a
Yeah.
lot
I
of
just
people
don't think-
think that social
Okay.
media is a dating site, and I'm like, no,
No.
no, it's not.
Mm-mm.
Does it say dating on my Instagram or does it say coach, an actress?
Right.
Does it say hit on? No, it does not.
Does my bio say available? No.
No.
I know, like, isn't it so crazy? Like, you can get
Stop.
hit on and you've got a wedding ring on. You could even be with your spouse and
Mhm.
someone feels that that's appropriate. Like, you
Yeah.
kind of look at them and you're like,
Really?
am I being punked or like, are you for real? Because
Yeah,
like,
really.
you see the
Mhm.
ring, my husband might be right
Mhm.
over there. And what now?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just,
Mhm.
anyway,
Yeah.
human nature is just.
I would
a
use
funny
I
piece.
used to be a little bit on the extra fiery side with if anyone hit on, and now it's like, okay, thank you for the compliment.
That
I
is
was
Yes.
true. No,
Mhm.
that, I mean, I
Moving
know, but
on.
still
Yeah,
you're
you're
kind
like,
of like,
moving
wait,
on.
what? Like, are you serious? Or you can just be like, oh, you're very pretty. Well, it's something like that, but not
Sure.
just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know.
yeah.
It's so funny.
Absolutely.
It's
I've
so
learned to
funny.
receive some more of the compliments and been like, thank you. And then just never talk to. But I do coach guys and women too on like, if you are following someone and you do like them and you do find them attractive, the best way to do it is by having a conversation about something that you notice in their photos or on their profile that actually resonates with you too. That's how we
Right.
create connection. Don't fake it. So
Yeah.
it's like if you see that she's a big reader or you see that she loves the ocean, don't comment on her bikini. Comment on like
Yes.
unless you got the same one at home. On,
Right.
Yes.
Right.
comment on the book she's reading or comment on the location or comment on something that like you actually resonates with you, not something fake, because then it doesn't land as well.
Mhm.
But like if she's reading a Paulo Coelho book and you love him, you can connect on that because
Right.
other people are going to comment on the other stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing when men and women want to own their bodies and do that. Because hey,
Mhm.
I used to feel scared about doing that too. And someone put it this way. They're like, one day you're going to be like 100 years old and you're going to be like, I wish I posted all those photos.
Yes.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But connect with people on a different
Mhm.
level. And then when you spark that conversation, you spark a different part of it. It's like, woo,
Well, that's so
wind
true.
up
I
on a
mean,
deeper connection.
I think at this point in our lives, like we can call BS when it's
Yeah.
like you can smell it a mile
Yeah.
away.
You know.
And
Mhm.
so I think that's right. Like, and when you're just authentic, whether that person's single or not or whatever, like it's still valid. It's a compliment, and
Mhm.
you can move, but it's just the BS that
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
gets nauseating at any age.
You know what I
Yeah.
love about what I love about these podcasts is that they are always unscripted.
I know.
And we
I
know
feel like
about
everyone
our
can
guests,
tell.
but I love just the direction it goes because this has been such a great conversation with your. I feel like you should be here with us all the time. You
I
just
know.
fit
We would
right
love
in with
that.
Oh,
one
this
of
was
the
a
girls.
blast. I didn't know
But-
what to expect, but you guys are absolutely amazing. This is a blast. I
Well,
love it.
because we've just, I mean, it's true. It's all real. It's all about being
Yeah.
real. It's all about,
Mhm.
trying to find confidence. It's all about, strengthening ourselves, becoming
Being better.
stronger, being better,
Yeah.
and just communication. And so it's just, I just love the direction these all, because we never know which direction they're
Yep.
going to go.
I know it is funny because I mean we've had a couple, wanted to like kind of get the script. We're like, there is no script. Like,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah.
what? I'm like, Trisha's always like, no, there's no
No
script.
scripts.
We don't do pre-work. We don't do it just goes where it goes.
Well, because you have such a
Yeah.
dynamic background, and you're an actress, you're a filmmaker, you're a life coach, a dating coach, but really you're real, you're a
human.
person, you're human, and have life experiences. And so I think that's the greatest thing to learn from is just talking to the real you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for
exactly.
sharing.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you
you've
guys
been
so much. Thank you for
awesome.
the questions and everyone that asked those questions too. Like I love this. I do love showing up and just seeing like, hey, I'm here and I'm present and I'm just down to see what happens. And that comes with like also just learning how to trust yourself a little more too. And again, foot and mouth, that happens. But
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Hi, my name is Ashley.
yeah.
Well, when we put out this podcast, I'm definitely going to put your link there for your website because I think
Yes.
you would be just amazing to talk with. You were great to talk with tonight. So we really appreciate your time. It's
Yeah,
been a
thank you
great
for
time.
thank you for what you do and being you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank
We
you.
appreciate
you.
it.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.